Hello, everyone. Welcome to NFT Plazas. I am your host, Kareem Mays, and I am bringing to you NFTs to Life, where we interview artists, learn about their inspirations, and learn how they took the path from artist to NFT creator. Today, I have Somi with me. He's an amazing artist, photographer from Africa in formerly Swaziland. How are you doing, Somi?
I'm okay. How are you guys?
I am doing
I'm having a
excellent.
lovely time
I'm
this
super
side.
excited. I'm super excited
Same
to have
here.
you here. I've seen your work, really impressed with it. The first thing I really want to understand is I took a look at your story. I saw that, after university, you kind of jumped into, doing a lot of different photography and you're trying to help people with mental health. But where did that inspiration, in your own words, come from? Did you pick up a camera one day and think, I'm going to help people with mental health, or I'm going to capture these specific images? Or what really drew the inspiration from within you?
I think growing up in an extended family, you never really get the attention to express yourself freely. So you bottle things up a lot. And I think for me, it was easier to kind of talk about things using my camera instead of like finding someone to talk to. I'm not really a person that likes talking too much. So that's how I express myself. I use photographs to talk. So when I started taking the pictures, many people kind of related to what I was trying to relay. So it kind of went on and on and on till up to today.
Yeah. Obviously, I think it's really expressive when you use a photograph, because what do they say? A photograph is worth 1,000 words. And really,
Words.
when
True.
you try to describe something to someone, whether it's a photograph or an NFT, you can talk quite a lot. But once they see it, they can believe it. Now, I also saw you have different photographs and you do target mental issues, mental problems. And I thought that was actually kind of interesting. How can photography
Mm.
serve as a way to help people overcome maybe some issues they're dealing in their life, maybe some problems or some mental issues?
I think I've used photography to help a lot of people in a way that I kind of create different concepts based on other people's experiences. So in that way, they also get to share how they went to deal with certain issues, and that they know that they're not alone. That someone is actually willing to document and listen to what they've been through. So I think that photography can be used to try and curb things that people, yeah, things that people go through by trying to involve different people in our projects, like use them as the subjects instead of just using their ideas. Because once you use them as subjects, they get to feel appreciated in a way.
Yeah,
That's what I've been doing for the longest time. Yeah.
that's amazing. And actually, I think that's the way you really bridge that gap between mental health and creating art, where somebody's actually involved in it. You don't just say the art's indirectly involved with you, you say the art's involved with you. You are the person
Mm.
who's involved in the art. Your story, your emotions, your happiness, your suffering, everything. And you encapsulate that all in one picture or in sometimes a video, which is the exciting thing we can do here. And then we bring it to the world. And then that provides them inspiration. Now, throughout your
Mm.
journey, I saw you did a lot of different photographs, and I'm still like checking out, you on Instagram. Definitely, that was a big thing. I was checking out your work just everywhere I could, just to really get a feel for what he's doing. Saw your stuff on Latitudes, and I really
Mm.
like it. When you're
Well,
taking
thank you so
these
much.
photos, yeah, no, I'm really impressed with all this. So when you're taking these photographs, do you yourself have to get into a specific like frame of mind, or are you trying to get them in a specific frame of mind? Just so I see like different emotional themes coming across.
S- So when I'm capturing a certain theme, I need to be in the aligned with the thoughts of the person that I'm taking the pictures of, so that we kind of have the same idea of what the end product should be like, and so
Hmm.
that the person that you're taking pictures of understands where you're coming from, and you also understand where they're coming from, and so that we are able to interpret each other's thoughts and we are in sync.
Nice. So if I'm having a rough day, let's just say, like, I'm running low on my bank account, my friends don't want to talk to me. Maybe my girlfriend isn't being very receptive. And I say, I'm feeling really sad. You take your camera and say, I'm going to feel sad with you to bring this product to life. So it's really a living product.
Hmm. Yeah,
Nice.
that's how it works. That's how it works.
Nice.
So if so, yo, sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. Did you want to add something there?
Yeah, I wanted to say, photography for me is also like a healing process. You know, every time we do a certain shoot, I always like feel lighter. It feels like you've really like taken something heavy off your shoulders in a way.
Yeah, I think it kind of brings out the aesthetic of who you really are because you're not going through the process by yourself. You're taking somebody along with you. And that's the beauty of photography, that you're just bringing the whole experience to life. And when somebody else is feeling that emotion, you can feel that with them. But you do that through your camera. And that's really what I saw in a lot of your pictures. I also saw in your pictures, funny enough, a lot of people who were out in nature. Maybe they were going on a hunt, or maybe they were doing some specific activities. And I got kind of curious about the cultural aspect of that, because it seems you do have a nice blend of also nature and some also urban themes. And I'm curious if you can kind of speak to that, what kind of inspired the differences.
So as you know that I'm Swazi, so most of my pictures are sort of a recollection of my childhood memories in a way, and they also like include that aspect of culture because Swaziland is a very cultural country, and we most of my pictures include that because I believe that we don't need to try and hide our identity to fit into a certain market of some sort. And the fact that I include nature is because I like taking walks most of the time, so I get to see different places and I find them cool. And that most of these places that I go to are kind of like secluded in a way, where I get to collect my thoughts, plan the shoots, plan
Nice.
the shoots, and kind of picture everything. So I feel like nature lets us feel alive in a way, which
Yeah,
is
no,
why
it
I feel
definitely
like
does.
yeah, which is why I feel like mixing culture and nature kind of makes my pictures stand out in a way
Yeah,
because that's who I
absolutely.
am. Yeah, yeah, that's
Absolutely.
who I am.
Yeah, I know this because I can spend a lot of time in the city, funny enough, and sometimes just seeing the hustle bustle every day does wear down on you, and you wonder, hey, is there more to civilization than just, running around and trying to make money, or running around and trying to do these different tasks? So nature can bring that calming effect and bring us back to who we are, human beings, not necessarily human doings. Is there a particular spot in Swazi in nature that you enjoy, or a particular place that you like to go for your inspiration when you're shooting?
Okay, I live in Bolonje, before the border gate called Oshuk. So Swaziland is a mountainous area, so it's got a lot of rivers and mountains. So there's this mountain by my house. Most of the pictures I take them there, but I sort of like shift the different angles in a way. The reason I like this place is because most people don't usually go there, but it's really beautiful.
Mhm.
So I feel like it's kind of that secret ingredient of some sort.
Nice, nice. You found
Yeah,
your own photography spot, so that's good for you. That means that your photographs, and conversely your NFTs, are going to be quite unique. It's going to be something that nobody else can find. Just make
true.
sure you have an internet connection, so when they're buying it on OpenSea after this, they're like, "Oh, I gotta." You're like, "Oh, okay, sale, cool, cool, cool." So
Yeah.
I find that really, really fascinating. I love photography, even though I'm not a photographer myself. The dedication, the time it takes to find the right spot, the exposure, and bringing out the emotional aspect of it really have the ability to transform the world. And I think you're definitely doing that in your own way and bringing out the identity of where you grew up. So 100% hats off to you for that.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. It
So
means a lot.
I really appreciate you taking the time, because this is really a lot of fun for me to kind of see the inspiration. Because sometimes when you look at an NFT or even a photograph, I want to know the story behind it. Someone writes a good, I'm a musician myself, a good song, I want to know the story behind it. I don't want to just say, oh, okay, the lyrics are cool and maybe the music is good. What is really behind this? What is really behind this work of art? What's really behind this NFT? What are you trying to do and bring out in the world, as opposed to just saying like, here's the utility of it, or here's the photograph, it's cool, boom. And that's what separates, to me, someone who's a professional photographer and really loves it from someone who's just taking pictures.
That's true.
So with that
So
being said, oh, go ahead.
no, I wanted to say that for me, I feel like what makes my photography different is, of course, the emotional aspect and the fact that most of the people in my pictures, we get to like sit and interact for the longest of times, you know. And so I get to know them on an emotional, on a personal level, so that we don't really act out most of the scenes in the pictures. They kind of feel like they are real in a way. So I feel like that also adds a certain uniqueness to a picture that I'm going to take or that I've taken before.
Nice. Because I see a lot of different things that where people are just going about their daily lives. And I always thought, hey, is he saying like, okay, pose for this? But then it really doesn't feel like that. It just feels like someone's going to say, hey, I'm going to go for a swim, or I'm going to get some water, or I'm going to play the game.
Yeah, that's how it is. That's how it
Nice.
is.
Nice. Although I will say, I think the one with the masks and I believe the balloons, maybe that one
Mm.
did a little bit of setup for, but that one's really cool. And we can definitely show that one here right now. But I was like, oh, wow, this is very Phantom of the Opera themed, if you will. And this is the one I was particularly referring to. I really like this one. Very, very cool. So with that being said, you got into photography. It's really your passion. You found your own way to do it in nature and connecting with people on an emotional level. You've helped a lot of them emotionally, and that's amazing. You've helped them with mental health, and you've also brought out the beauty of, Swaziland, which is amazing. I'm interested also in the aspect, now you're doing all this photography work. You're having a lot of fun with it. What kind of brought your interest in cryptocurrency and NFTs more generally? Is it something you kind of heard about through Bitcoin, Ethereum, maybe Dogecoin, and you said, oh, wow, this might be interesting? Or was somebody else doing NFTs in your space? How did your NFT and crypto interest peak?
So I was approached by One Ma Collective on Instagram. So they kind of shared what NFTs were about, and they explained the whole process to me. So I was kind of like interested in knowing more. And so I checked out their pages and the artists they kind of represent in a way. And I figured I was doing something similar. So that's how I started like creating more artworks that would be that would fit in the NFT space.
Nice. So when they approached you and you heard about NFTs, what was kind of your first thoughts, or what was kind of your first reaction when learning about NFTs, non-fungible tokens? What were you thinking about?
I was kind to be honest, I was surprised because coming from Swaziland and also considering the fact that I'm just a young person, art isn't really supported that much this side. So I was kind of surprised as to who would take their time to approach a person like myself. And after that, after taking time looking at the NFTs, I realized that it was something unique, you know, and that there's always like different artists over that space, but you're always like unique in your own space also. So there's no need to compete, but to constantly get better with time. So that's when I decided that I would take the decision to venture into NFTs and kind of see where it would lead to.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And just from your experience, because I know sometimes we get introduced to the world of NFTs, and when I first heard about it, I was learning it through, different people in the crypto space. So I was already in the crypto space learning about it. And then I found this and I said, oh, this is interesting. And I kept learning more and more about it. And that's how I conversely jumped into it as well. So there's a lot of interesting stories of how people are introduced to this. Have you found when you're selling your own photographs or when you're working on photographs versus NFTs, do you find any particular differences, like, when you're marketing on OpenSea as opposed to maybe marketing just either locally or people seeing your photography online without that aspect?
To be honest, most of my marketing is done by One Mark Collective on
Hmm.
most of the NFT platforms. But on the other side, excluding the NFTs, I normally just browse online for. I feel like excluding the NFTs, it's kind of hard marketing the artworks myself because I'm still an emerging artist and my network's that is not that broad, so I need to put in more extra work. But I've been trying to do that, and it's kind of working out, which is why I feel like, which is why I
Okay.
feel like now I'm getting I'm getting visible in the market, and it's kind of motivating me to try and make my work feel and look better. But
Yeah.
in terms of the NFTs, I feel like the another thing that makes it easier for NFTs, my NFTs to be marketable is because they are portraits. I normally sell portraits that side, and on the other side is the opposite. So it kind of makes it a person can differentiate that this is an NFT and this is not an NFT. So
Hmm.
that's
Yeah.
that's most about it.
Yeah, definitely. Because sometimes people are asking the question, what's the fundamental difference between an image and an NFT? And really, what I go
NFT.
into is the fundamental difference is the utility that this can be used for different things. That can be used to even get access to a concert. It can be used to get entry to something. It can be used as part of a community. It can be used as your favorite character in your favorite game. So that's the exciting thing I really see with NFTs and with what you're doing. And definitely this interview, my goal of it, big goal, is to help get you more exposure so that people will run over and say, oh, wow, I need to get to Latitudes or OpenSea and check this out.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Definitely, definitely. So if I were to take a look at one of your NFTs, and let's say I were to purchase it, and then I have one of your NFTs, and we're talking about utility here, like after I own it, is there a particular thing I would get access to? Is there a particular event that would happen? Is there something that is noteworthy when someone picks this up that they might want to know about?
At the moment, I think those questions are mostly to be answered correctly by One Mark Collective. They deal mostly with that aspect of the sale of the NFTs. I deal mostly with the creation part.
Okay,
So yeah,
definitely. Okay, no, that's really interesting, and I like that. I like that fact because now you can allocate time to there, and then you can also get help with One Marketing Collective when that comes up, making that process a whole lot easier. Now, I think this interview will also help with that. So
true.
when it comes to NFTs, I took a look at your African expression NFTs. I took a look at like Friendship Reflected, A Queen Can Be a King, Power, Bold and Beautiful, Alluring, and really just amazing work. The amount of exposure and time you probably took to get these is great. Is there a particular one that resonates with you?
The one about power. The one about power describes the process that I've been on to become better. Because I've always felt that I could become a better version of myself. I don't like being in one position for the longest time. So it's always about changing with time, changing of the artworks, trying to find a better space to be bigger or better. So I feel like power is all about owning the moment.
Owning the moment, like being centered, like not worrying about hundreds of things, just saying, this is now, this is here. I'm going to embrace this moment and make the most of it. Is that what I'm conveying through power?
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to say through that image.
Great. Yeah, I can actually see it where the guy has his hands right here and he's looking here. He's not looking to the side. He's not looking over there. And in the modern world, amazing. He's not checking his phone. He's not saying like, oh man, I have these notifications on Instagram or Snapchat, because I actually feel if you did photography in some urban areas, it'd just be like this, like, hey, can we take a picture? Oh, yeah. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Because I'm even like that sometimes. Sometimes it is
No, I
checking my
understand.
crypto. So
I get you.
are there any ones that have a deeper meaning that resonate with you that we could bring up or show folks right now, like Thoughts of a Messenger, Radiant Love, One of the Waters, Happy Flower, that convey a specific meaning or thought process?
For me, I felt like the one titled "Happy Flower" was inspired by my mother, because her name is Happiness. She's always about positivity and always focusing on the positive side of things in life and not paying much attention to the negatives. Because for you to grow and become a good person or a better leader or a good person, let me summarize it like that, for you to enjoy life, you need to be happy and focus, like create a space that will shut out the negatives and be happy.
Nice. So you combine this with power, and you're going to be focused all the time and you're going to be happy. And I really like this quote here: flowers always make people better, happier, and more helpful.
Mm.
They are sunrise, food, sunshine, food, medicine for the soul. Luther Burbank.
Yeah. So my mother is the flower. She's the happy flower.
And she's always happy.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Always. You know how mothers are. They're always like strong and yeah.
Yeah.
They're always like trying to protect us and yeah.
Well, sometimes they have to even convey the emotions and have the security when we don't. And the same is true for fathers, but even mothers more so. So that's two really powerful images. And thanks for sharing the inspiration and the meaning behind that. I think with power, a lot of people could use that just to say, hey, I need to stay centered. I need to stay focused. I need to have my eye on the ball. I need to stop worrying about what I'm going to do 2-3 hours from now and just be grounded
Mm.
and happy. What I would say is, you can, as Zig Ziglar would say, positive thinking won't help you do anything. They'll help you do everything better than negative thinking will. And negative thinking really doesn't serve anybody. It doesn't serve me. It didn't serve me, especially when your crypto goes down, if you have any, or something happens that's negative in your life. So very powerful messages right there. And thank you for sharing those with us. You still there, Somi? Somi?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. Network glitch. Network glitch. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
That's how we deal with it in the space we're in. We figure it out and we stay positive. We stay in power and we stay happy. And if there's a glitch, we work through it. So
Yeah,
I
true.
got you. That's what NFT Plazas is all about. So just talking about your experience in marketing. Now you're doing all the creation. You're going out, getting the exposure, having fun in nature, and you're also conveying your emotions with people. You make these photographs. Can you kind of walk me through the process? Okay, I got a bunch of photographs. I got Happy Flower, Power. I got some things I'm proud of. And then One Marketing Collective. How do they handle everything from there? Do you just give them the image files, or is there a specific thing that goes on or process?
So before we create a certain like concept or a collection, like for instance, the African Expressions collection, we first like talked about it and we planned on how it would go and the type of images that I wanted to show in the collection. Because if you tell a story, you need the images to show in a line in a specific order. So that's how we kind of plan these things in order to have work that is not that different from each other. It's not in variation. So One Mark Collective kind of like offers advice and gives me input because I can't do this alone in a way. I need to, they've been in the space for a long time, so their input kind of makes it easier for me to create work that would actually sell.
Okay, no, that's great. So
So
it's actually
after,
a
yeah,
storyline. It's not just,
yeah,
oh, I'm
so
going
we
to take a
plan,
picture. Oh, sorry.
yeah, so we plan the shoots. I take the images, I submit them to One Mark Collective, and then we decide on which ones would sell and the pricing that would actually be acceptable in those different platforms that I saw my NFTs in.
Nice. Does it follow a storyline? Like it's just, hey, I'm going to get a picture of the bush. I'm going to get a picture of the tree. And like, no, we want it to follow kind of this logical order or
Yeah,
this
in
storyline.
terms of the editing. In terms of the editing, you can't be having a picture with buildings and one with trees and one
Mhm.
indoors, outdoors. Yeah. So if for instance, African expression is all about my childhood memories in Africa. So most Africans feel that way, you know, always like maybe happy, power. We always want to move, change our situations at home. We want to do better. And so for me, I feel like that's how a story should go. Maybe it's not really supposed to have a happy ending, as most people like always say, but it's supposed to be in a specific line so that a person who isn't really following can easily join and see what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what I like to do is kind of bring up like the ideas of, hey, I'm going to do this here. I'm going to bring up this concept. When I see photography and it follows a story, it's much more engaging because then I want the whole NFT collection or I want the whole photography
Mm.
set as opposed to one. You can make a really good picture of a rock or a tree. Definitely, I've seen it. But if it has a whole,
Yeah.
oh, this is power. Oh, after power comes something, an event that happened afterward or before. And it's kind of actually saying I have a trilogy as opposed to saying, well, I have this one piece. That's really what I think a lot of NFT and even photography is predicated on. You want the collection because that tells the story. That's a piece of history that we really need to encapsulate.
True, bro. True. That's true.
And I am curious, just last couple of questions. The adoption of NFTs and crypto in Swaziland. Definitely you've picked it up. Do you see it on the upward spiral? Do you see it downward? Do you see it kind of flattening out? Or do you kind of see the adoption happening in your region?
I feel like in the next couple of years, many people are going to start joining the NFT space because right now it's kind of a bit slow and people aren't really aware on what's going on in that certain market and they need the education. So there's no one providing education. And for me, if it wasn't for One Mark Collective, I wouldn't be this educated about NFTs as well. So I feel like if people could get someone to educate them and let them know what happens in the NFT space, that probably create more artworks to fit into that space as well.
Nice. And how do you think this education can change the way economics is done, maybe in your region and surrounding regions?
Sorry, come again.
How do you think this education into NFTs and maybe cryptocurrency in general can help people start understanding a different form of economics in the region you're in or the surrounding regions? So they're just going to say, I'm not stuck on fiat currency. Now I have NFTs, I have a little bit of crypto, and I have different options, is what I was getting at.
Oh, okay. So I feel like NFTs can help in that aspect in the sense that people can now be more economically um, have an advantage economically because like in terms of they only know like for forex trading they only mostly focus on that. So I feel like if they could invest in this space that have more streams of income in a way because the what's this? The population, the young people are very much unemployed. So I feel like if they invest in their time in this space, more jobs could be created in a way. People could start like making their own money without depending on someone to actually pay them.
Yeah, that's the point of
Yeah.
NFTs. That's the point of cryptocurrency. That's why I do what I do, because I finally saw a way that young people, but not just young people, everybody could find a way to not only create an extra form of income, but to create a whole ecosystem for themselves where they could actually thrive. And the nice thing is it's decentralized. You actually are your own boss. You actually own what you create. And that's the exciting fact.
That's actually the nice part about it. Yeah. It's always like free to do whatever you want to do. There's no boundary limiting you from what you can create and what you cannot create.
That's the power of NFTs. That's the power of cryptocurrency. That's why NFT Plazas is here, because literally the sky's not the limit anymore. We can keep going and going and going. And that's why I'm really excited for what you're doing. That's why I appreciate you taking the time and talking to me, Somi. It was really a pleasure. Is there anything else you want people to know about your work or in general about your NFTs or anything else?
What I'll first start off by saying thank you for your time, and I feel like the most people should actually start supporting African artists because we need the support that we can get to keep on creating more artworks. It's kind of like motivating to see that someone actually likes your work and they genuinely like your work, because you can actually see if a person genuinely likes your work. So I
Yeah.
feel like it's kind of motivating, and uh, I'm sort of like an inspiration to others to actually, because they can actually see that there's potential for them to engage in the NFT space. So seeing me thrive, they also feel inspired and motivated to also follow in my footsteps.
Great. So I'm just going to say shout out to everybody who's a photographer in Africa, in Swaziland, wherever you're at. Hey, take a look at this, see what you think, but really just give a big shout out and encourage you to join the NFT space, because you really can do it. And every photographer is different. So they're all going to bring their own perspective through the lens. So, Somi, thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you?
People can find me on Instagram at Sinenkosi_Msomi, and also on Twitter at Sinenkosi Msomi with an H. And also they can also purchase my work on Latitudes Online and Africanism Art, and also on Artsy via Tag Gallery, THAG Gallery on Artsy.
Definitely. So, guys, I'm going to make a shout out here. We have his Instagram right up. Check him out. You can find him, Somi_Mosey, right here. If you want to purchase some of his work, go to Latitudes right here. You can learn about his story, which we just talked about in detail, and buy some of his amazing work as well. So, thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep rocking it in the NFT space. And thank you so much, Somi. I hope you have an amazing day. And definitely we'll get this out there and get you more exposure and encourage more artists in your area and hopefully all around the world to keep jumping into this, keep enjoying your photography, and open it up to the NFT world to give them more opportunities.
Thank you so much. It was nice meeting you guys. Thank you so much for your time.
It was nice meeting you, Somi. You have a great rest of your day. Everyone, I am Kareem with NFT Plazas, bringing your NFTs to life through your favorite artists today. We just talked to Somi. He's an amazing artist from Swaziland. He's bringing out nature. He's bringing out human emotion. He's bringing out power and happy flower everywhere you go. He can inspire you. He can bring out the life from where it wasn't. And he can also show you a new path to living through the power of his photography and NFTs. So check that out.